LAWsome by ConsultWebs. Breakthrough insights to build a thriving law firm with your host, Tanner Jones.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another LAWsome podcast. Today's focus, it's around the power of YouTube, especially for attorneys, and how attorneys can get to leverage their brand further, build more client engagement, and most importantly, to grow their practice. Very happy to have our guest, Jeff Hampton, in this conversation. He's a criminal defense attorney. He's a very successful YouTube influencer with over 276,000 subscribers and over 15 million views a month through his YouTube channels. He has extensive experience in the courtroom as a former prosecutor. He's also the founder of Hampton Criminal Defense Attorneys and STR Law Guys, focusing on both criminal defense and asset protection. And most important to this discussion, he's the leader of YouTube Rainmakers, helping professionals scale their businesses through YouTube. So Jeff, thanks for joining us on the show.
Thank you, Tanner. Appreciate it, man. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, this is a fun topic. You know, clearly video is a major theme right now for anyone, any business owner looking to better market themselves online, but it doesn't come without its challenges. So I'd like to start really on the beginning of your journey. You know, naturally to get to 276,000 subscribers, you have to start somewhere. And so maybe take us back, Jeff. What was it like in the very beginning? What ultimately influenced you to get started with YouTube?
Yeah, so I took the traditional journey that I think most attorneys do when they go start their own practice initially. You know, I first worked at the district attorney's office for 5.5 years as a prosecutor, came out, started my own law firm in 2011, and really just kind of played the normal, you know, Google SEO, spent a lot of time. I dove really deep into digital marketing, totally understood everything from the local maps pack to the creating. I used to write ridiculous amounts of content, trying to rank through blogs and my practice area pages. But then, you know, when the pandemic hit, and we did well through that, when the pandemic hit in 2020, things just kind of, there was this lull, you know, everybody had to kind of reset. And one of the things I did is I stopped and I looked and I realized, hey, everybody is playing in the same pond here. Mm-hmm. Everybody's trying to fight for the scraps of what you can get on Google Ads, trying to outrank each other and do all this sort of stuff and spend each other into oblivion, basically, by getting access. And I thought, is there some way that I can differentiate myself so it doesn't just look like text on a page on the internet? And so I realized that it kind of was transformational for me when I realized that YouTube was the second largest search engine in the world. And when I realized that, I said, wait a minute. So I know how many people are on Google. I got 60 competitors all trying to rank to get on the first page. Let me go to YouTube. So when I went to YouTube, I found there were only 2 lawyers through the same keyword searches on YouTube that were trying to do any content at all. And they weren't doing it very well. Mm-hmm. It was kind of rough. And so I thought, this is it. I don't know what I'm doing, but even if I don't know what I'm doing, it can't be that bad. There's only 2 other people trying to do it. So if I get lucky and even hit off just a little bit here, it'll make a difference. And that's exactly what happened. If you go to Hampton Law and you look at the channel now, look at some of my old videos. They were awful. I didn't know what I was doing. But those videos, even now, those videos still garner me calls. I mean, I literally get between 100 to 150 calls per month. I've had as many as 200 per month that come in because of people finding my content on YouTube. And as a result of that, I realized, whoa, wait a minute, this is a game changer, because not only do I get more calls, but the people who call in, I was closing at a 25 to 30% higher conversion rate because they'd already watched my videos. Mm-hmm. They already knew I knew what I was talking about. And they came in, they were hot leads. They weren't cold leads off of an ad. They saw something that that resonated with them and they wanted to be involved in it. And that made me realize right then it was time for me to double down and do everything I could to build not only my, for search, but to build for my brand as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's what every business owner wants, is to prime the pump, if you will, on the leads that they're generating and have them already committed. Because as you well know, if you've invested in any form of advertising, be it digital or traditional, most of the time people are not only calling you, they're calling others. Have you seen a difference in that? I mean, are they committed already when they're calling in to hiring you, or do you still find that they're shopping?
So, I mean, there may always be some people who shop, but I can tell you at least once or twice a month, I'll get a phone call from someone who I never talk to them. Nobody in our firm talks to them. They will call in and say, I want to know what it takes to work with that guy in that video. How do I work with this team?
That's cool.
And, usually it's high value clients, 25,000 here, 15,000 here, and people will just pay on the front end. And even when I do talk to them, they'll say, first thing we do with our intake team to make sure we can establish attribution, making sure where people are finding us, is we have this conversation and they'll go, oh yeah, no, I know what you're about to say because I've watched 2 or 3 of your videos and you talked about the grand jury. You talked about this issue and how it needs to be taken care of. So it kind of primes the pump. When they call in, everything's ready to roll. They already have some concept because I've given away the secrets, and then all I have to do is sell the implementation, and the credibility and authority is already established.
Makes a lot of sense. Well, I know, or at least I would assume that starting there, learning it, just as you said, you were, it was trial by fire to a large degree of just getting in, taking those first few steps. What were some of the challenges that you've experienced in building that following over time? Maybe speak to that and what you did to overcome them.
So the challenges of starting the YouTube channel is, at first, you don't know what content to make, right? You just, I started creating content that I thought, I just said, okay, I'm just going to talk about what I want to talk about related to criminal defense. And it's real hit or miss. You would create certain content and you would think, well, why doesn't this do well? This should be very interesting to someone. And then when I stopped and I realized, why am I doing this? You got to know your why. And for me, my why was not to go viral. It was never that. It's not even, I never planned on becoming some big influencer in YouTube for the legal space or anything like that. The whole goal I had was, what can I do to be found on search initially? Because those are high intent people looking to solve a problem. And then I literally sat down, and the strategy that I teach all of my consulting clients now is to start narrow. And what that means is sit down and do kind of under the 80-20 principle. There's a good chance there's 20% of your services that provide you 80% of your revenue. Whatever those are. Now, go talk to your clients and come up with a list of FAQs for those areas that you make the most money in. And then now what we do is we start formulating practice area videos where we go in, and if you go back to my channel, you'll see shoplifting videos. I talk about aggravated assault. I talk about every area very specific to Texas because that's where my practice is located. And then it's all about optimizing that content. And I literally, my first well over 100 videos that I did were nothing but narrow. There was not anything where I was trying to grab somebody to go viral and have somebody watch something that's super entertaining. It was merely providing a solution to a problem by staring into the camera and basically pretending I was having a consult with someone. So if I pretend I'm having a consultation with someone and I make it very personal, I go, if you've been arrested in North Texas, here's what you must know. And I just lay out what it is. And then I started noticing that's when we started getting those calls. And I'm not kidding. One of the videos that I've had, and I keep tracking it because I want to see how far it'll go. I have an aggravated assault video that I did about 3 years ago, and it has made us so far over $750,000 from one video. And the reason why I know that, the average case value is $10,000. Okay. Average case value of $10,000. And we've closed well over 75 cases from that call or from that particular video because we have our phone number and our name at the top left-hand portion. And I can have a call tracking number that I know how many calls are coming in. And our intake team is asking them how they heard about us. And we're marking every single one of our calls based upon those that mention YouTube. And when it's related to that video, that was the ROI I needed. When I saw that you could make, $750,000 on a single video, that's when I realized, okay, this is a game changer for the legal industry if lawyers will take it on.
Yeah, that's great advice, and especially on the content side and prioritizing and doing just as you're doing, which is being accountable and following the numbers, continuing to come back, look at the metrics. It gives you an idea of continuing to sharpen the axe on what is working and do more of what is working, and it really helps to refine the strategy. And so I'm curious, what is your recommendation on equipment? Someone who's maybe just hearing this, they've thought about video for a while now, they're energized enough to get started. Do you recommend they go in and heavily invest in top of the line equipment, or is there a better way to kind of roll into this?
No, I mean, look, what I tell people is a lot of attorneys that I first talk to and they want to come and get consulting from me is they want to spend a lot of time planning to plan. They want to like go buy a really nice camera. They want to get all this really nice lighting. And I said, look, hold on. Let's just, what kind of phone do you have? Like, I got an iPhone, a pretty new iPhone. I'm like, perfect. Here's what you got to do. Take that iPhone, and I give them a recommendation for essentially, even if it's just a ring light setup with their iPhone, and they start off just doing very basic stuff. It's more important to have good audio even than top shelf quality video. You want to have good audio, and then you want to have something that's not distracting behind you so that you're able to present your information. And then I tell people the hardest thing is just to get started. And most people go, Jeff, your videos now are like 10 to 20 minutes long. I can't imagine doing a 20-minute video. And I said, well, I didn't start with 20-minute videos. The first thing you do is practice with shorts. Do 60-second or less videos and get some content out there. And you can do shorts, really short videos that get you comfortable in front of the camera. And as you start doing that, it's a great way to test content. So one way to do it is you can post a video. You think, I think this video would do well. Well, test it by doing a short concept of it, 60 seconds or less. Do a quick hook, a question to grab somebody's attention, and then put that information out there. If you do about 50 of those 60-second shorts, you're going to find 2 or 3 of them are going to do way better than the other 47. And those are the ones you can double down on and now do longer videos on those, because you've actually proven those concepts that you can see that the market was interested in that content.
I'd like to shift to branding, because this is, brand is not something that most attorneys really spend a whole lot of time thinking about. Certainly if they're more marketing minded or even business minded, maybe it has been a consideration, but I know some firms that just simply, they know they want to do this. They just haven't, taken the steps to do it, partly because they feel like everything has to be right. How intentional should a firm be, or how intentional were you in establishing the right brand, making sure that you're, building in the right key elements to be a recognizable brand in your marketplace? Was that something you set out with a very clear vision, or did it kind of morph into that as you started walking into video?
For YouTube, I can tell you right now, I was not real clear about it when I first started. I mean, I was just trying to get a video out there to be seen and hoping someone would call. But what will happen is, after a while, after I posted my first 100 videos, I went into YouTube Studio and I looked at the analytics, and I started noticing that I had a certain baseline of returning viewers. So what happened was, I would see if people had watched my video, the purple line, the blue line on YouTube Studio is new viewers. The purple line is actually returning viewers. And I noticed that returning viewers line continued to increase. And now I might have, on any video I launch, I might have, 80,000 returning viewers on a video easily. Sometimes hundreds of thousands of returning viewers. And so and the reason why that matters is that's a loyal audience. And if it's a loyal audience, you have a brand. So now you should have some integrity to that brand. And so one of the ways that we did that is, that's why now you want to start figuring out, how do I want to project myself in the marketplace? How do I want to make sure and monetize that brand and push people to what my expertise is? And I'm going to tell you the fastest way to do this, the best way to brand yourself. And what I do for both channels, I have 2 different channels, my asset protection law firm as well, is I might start a video like this. Let's say I'm going to start the video with a hook, and I might say, what should you do if cops are at your front door demanding to see your guns? And then I'll go through this. I'll say, my name's Jeff Hampton. As a former prosecutor turned people's lawyer, today I'm covering the 5 tips you need to know if cops show up at your front door. Wait around, because if you miss this content and you miss this video, you could end up going to jail instead of being let go, right? And so it's a quick little thing, but when people see the first 15 seconds of my video, they'll go, hey, that's the people's lawyer. That's the guy, former prosecutor turned people's lawyer. And it creates recognition in the video for both the shorts and my longer form videos, in addition to the type of font and coloring that I use in my thumbnails and my titles. Those sort of things help kind of create an awareness for people. And you end up having somebody seeing my video before they even click on it. They'll go, hey, that's a Hampton Law video. Let's watch it. Right. So I focus on branding on YouTube because I want to create the awareness and returning viewers. The YouTube algorithm loves that. Then now you can incorporate this onto your website. Use these videos embed them into your YouTube or on your web pages. It'll help your performance on your website. You can then actually take your content and repurpose it into an actual blog post. There's so many ways that you can reuse this same content in ways to show people when they come to your website that you have a presence and that you have an expertise. I mean, think about it. Would you rather read a 1,500 word blog post or watch a 5-minute video covering the same thing?
I'm curious, are you putting ad dollars behind these videos? Meaning, are you promoting them with an advertisement campaign, or are you just letting them grow organically?
I have never posted an ad yet on YouTube. And the temptation is to do that. Now, I'm a part of the YouTube Partner Program. So YouTube has a creator program where once you reach a certain level with YouTube, they'll actually invite you into where you'll have your own representative that actually comes in and talks to you about your channel. They'll answer questions. And one of the questions that I asked them is, I was like, well, if I started doing ads, how would that affect my organic reach? And they kind of clammed up and said, well, in theory, if you start running ads, we're a platform. We want to make money. It is possible that it could depress your organic reach because we're trying to push out your ad reach, right? Because we want to make money on your ads. So I've never run an ad. And you can look at my videos. I've been through a stretch where I haven't had as many views as normal. They've been in the range of between 70 and 120,000 views. But I've had some videos that have been millions, 2, 4, 5. I got a 5.4 million view video. So the consistency of putting them out there and always reading comments. If you want to know what your audience is about, look at what the comments say. What are your viewers saying about your video? And here's a hack. Here's a quick tip you can do. You can copy all of your comments from your video and then feed it into ChatGPT and ask the sentiment of the comments. What are the areas that showed concern about your content? And what are the areas they wanted to see more of? And ChatGPT will actually do a full analysis and give you the sentiment of the video, what they liked. And from that's helped me come up with additional content ideas, and you really get to know your audience. It's a way to really grow.
Let's move on into the concept of, okay, now videos are coming through, the YouTube channel's built out, getting consistent views on a regular basis. Now it's a matter of being able to really be intentional about connecting the dots to your business. If, in other words, monetizing the effort that you're putting into it. And so, part of that is building trust. You've hit on a few elements of how you can successfully and intentionally turn these viewers into clients through building trust. But maybe let's start there. What are some key things beyond maybe some of the things you've already covered that will ensure that you are increasing your chances of making that connection and building confidence in that viewer?
So there's a couple of things that you can do. Now, I'm going to tell you, some of this is very practice specific. So the thing that I don't like about criminal defense is that the sales cycle on criminal defense is very short. It's, it's 24 to 72 hours. There's not a lot of time to be able to build something with someone. They're going to make a decision pretty quickly. Whereas my asset protection channel is a little different. Asset protection might take 30 days or so before someone makes a decision on what they want to do. So what you can do there in that particular niche is you can use YouTube to build an email following, an email list. And what I do there is really simple. There's two different strategies. One is you talk about your video, you give all the content. At the very end, you can do a call to action. And I use two big ones. The first one I use is, what is my goal? If I'm trying to grow my channel and it's small, the first thing I want to do is to have people keep watching. I just want them to keep watching my channel because the YouTube algorithm will promote more and more of my videos if they watch my channel. So I will invite them to watch another video on the video journey. If they've watched my video now, let's say it's about how to travel with a gun, how to legally travel with a gun and with reciprocity laws. If I cover all of that, then the next thing I might want to cover is, what if an officer pulls you over and you have a weapon in your car and he wants to perform a search? Well, if someone watched all of the first video and they got to that call to action and I point them to an end screen to watch the next video, there's a good chance they'll click on it. I have some videos, because YouTube will show you this, that have had as much as a 20% click rate on that end screen, which then puts them down the rabbit trail, so that now the average viewer that goes on my YouTube channel watches 3.8 videos. Average, 3.8. So that's one way to grow your channel. You're going to get a ton of watch time. The other way, though, if you want to bring people off platform so you can remarket to them, is in your description section of your video. I might say something like this. I might say, we just covered the 5 things not to do, or not type of assets not to put into your trust. But what if you have rental property? How do you protect your rental properties from greedy lawyers trying to take your assets? I want to give you a free resource. Look down in the description below, and I'm going to provide you the 5 tips to protect your rental properties from a lawsuit. And then what they'll do is they'll go down, click on that link. Very easy. Protect your property from lawsuits. Click on the link. They then pull it up. They exchange their email address for a free lead magnet. It's just a lead magnet that you give them 5 tips. Now you own their email address. You can then put that into different types of like Active Campaign or other types of programs that are out there that you can just do automated emails to them, and you nurture them. You introduce them to your products and your services and your offerings. And what will happen is you now can own that email address and remarket to them for months to come. I have found through my asset protection channel, even though I only have 4,000 subscribers, we easily make another $35,000 to $40,000 a month off of just those.
Let's move into some of the misconceptions, because I know we have some listeners here that everything sounds great. Obviously, the whole concept of reaching more people and generating more business is attractive to virtually everyone. But maybe someone's saying that YouTube's too saturated for their practice area, or they've never been comfortable in front of a camera. What are some of those misconceptions that you hear? Obviously, you're coaching other business owners in this. What are you hearing, and how do you address those common misconceptions?
Well, I mean, it kind of swings from both perspectives. Some people are excited about the idea of YouTube, and then they get into it and they don't realize YouTube is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And so what I tell people is you have to redefine what it means when you do YouTube. If you think you'll put out 3 or 4 videos and you're going to just start getting tons of calls, that's not the case. You have to lay a foundation of video content that people will be able to refer to and create loyal followers. And I mean, honestly, I defined success for myself. My first 50 videos, I didn't even look to see who watched. I literally sat down and created a body of work of 50 practice area videos that all I wanted to do is define success by getting it done and treating it like a consultation and being personal. And by doing that, the phone started ringing. So number 1, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Number 2, anybody that says that their practice area is saturated doesn't know they know nothing about YouTube. And what I mean by that is go onto YouTube, and I dare you to try your very best to find any lawyers in your niche that are doing anything similar to what you're doing and doing it remotely well. You're going to find out, one of the things I've learned is very few people know anything about YouTube, and they have no idea how to do it. And here's the reason why I'll tell you. You'll see some channels that have tens of thousands of subscribers, but they've only gotten those subscribers because they've done ads. They have no organic reach whatsoever. And you can tell that, and they're not making any money. They're just using it as a way to promote ads. So what I've learned is, and Mr. Beast said this, by the way, they asked Mr. Beast, not that I'm saying he knows anything about law, but one of the things he did say is he goes, in the next 10 years, I see service businesses, professional service businesses, waking up to see the power of YouTube and how it can fundamentally transform their business. So he is seeing the fact that right now, the early adopters onto YouTube that get involved, like I'm in now, I have such a moat in the criminal defense space that the social proof of having now 300 and almost 30,000 subscribers is where I'm at now, that when people see that, they're 10 times more likely to watch my content than there are somebody with 200 subscribers.
It's an immediate credibility factor.
That's right. That's right.
What about the future? I mean, where's all this going? So I know, clearly you've built the moat, which I love from a marketing standpoint. That's what every marketer or business owner wants to create, just to further protect and cushion themselves. But now it's a matter of continuing to stay relevant. So what do you see as evolving in YouTube or with the whole world of video, and what are you actively doing to stay ahead?
So first of all, it's a really good question. Number 1 is, I'm looking for ways to continue to monetize the channel. And so I'm going to give you an example. So YouTube is continuing right now. Not only do I get paid for it's helped me earn an additional $2 million a year for my criminal defense practice. But the channel itself makes, just from ad revenue, it makes between $10,000 and $20,000 a month, just from ad revenue. And then on top of that, there's opportunities where you can get sponsorship deals from other people who want to actually sponsor your channel. They want to sponsor. There's memberships where you can actually have people that want to join and have a membership as part of your channel, and they get early access to a video release. And you would think, who would want that? Believe it or not, hundreds of people want to do that sort of thing. And then you start looking at it and saying collaborations. Who else is on YouTube that if I collaborate with, that is in an ancillary niche or something that is not exactly where I'm at, but similar to, with a similar audience, you can use these strategies to continue to catapult yourself. Here's where I see this going. I also repurpose my content now to TikTok. Now, here's the crazy thing. I've never created one custom video at all for TikTok, ever. But instead, I take the same content, repurpose it for TikTok. Now I've got right at about it's not very many, but 13,000 followers, but I get millions of views. And more importantly, I get calls. People call and hire me from TikTok.
Just for the clarity, what do you mean by repurpose for TikTok? What are you doing?
So TikTok now allows you to play videos up to 10 minutes in length. So if I create an 8-minute long video for YouTube, I can just turn around and literally launch the exact same video on TikTok, and it might get millions of views. And more importantly, I have the same call to actions where people will call. And it's a different demographic. Now, and this is shocking, those that are under 30 are more likely, men and women under 30 are more likely to search for things on TikTok than on Google now, which is crazy. When I saw that stat, I couldn't believe it. But that's the truth as it is right now. So I'm getting a lot younger potential clients that find me on TikTok, and I'm creating leverage. I'm not creating any additional video. I'm just repurposing it, using it in different places on different platforms where I can expand my reach. Because the currency of exchange in the market in marketing today is visibility. And the more you can be visible and then leverage that, push people to your webpage, your website, and do that. I'm going to tell you, the last thing I'm going to say on where this is going. Eventually, Gary Vee and a lot of these other guys used to say, and they still do, they say that every business is a leads business. Well, eventually what happens is guys like Legal Eagle and some of these other guys on YouTube, they don't do law anymore. And that's not what I'm interested in, but they don't do law. All they do is sell their leads to other lawyers, and they make millions of dollars by funneling all of their visibility, the leads they receive from that visibility, and sell them to other lawyers, and they don't even have to practice law. I believe we're going to see an explosion of that type of activity for people who really take off and have that type of influence.
Jeff, I've enjoyed this conversation. Tons of tips. Appreciate you so much sharing this, taking time for our listeners. Are there any final questions maybe that I didn't ask that you would have hoped I would have?
No, I mean, look, I think the biggest thing is this. A lot of people think, back to your objections, hey, I don't know how this would apply to me. I don't think this will work. And maybe it worked for him. You don't have to be great on camera. Go back and watch my early videos. But whatever you put your time and effort into, not only will it get better, you'll get something from it. And I will tell you, the YouTube is the lever that has moved my marketing without a bunch of ad spend. It's moved my marketing more than anything else that I've done in the last 4 years. And part of the reason why I started YouTube Rainmakers is to help people to understand they can do this too. You don't have to have expensive gear. You don't have to put a ton of effort into it. There is a way to get started, and it'll start a snowball effect when you do it. So I challenge attorneys to think broader. Don't just walk the broad way that everybody else is walking. Sometimes you got to walk in a different direction to get extraordinary results.
I love that. Carve your own path. Jeff, I know you're a tremendous asset in this world. For someone who maybe their head's spinning, they have another 10 or 12 questions to ask on next steps. What's the best way that they can find you?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, you're welcome to reach out to me on LinkedIn. Just look for me, Jeff Hampton, YouTube Rainmakers on LinkedIn, or you can look me up at YouTubeRainmakers.com. You can look me up there where we give some free resources about how to get started on YouTube. And we also have some specific consulting options available to people if they're trying to figure out how to get going. So I'm happy to answer those questions.
Jeff, thanks again. Appreciate your time.
LAWsome by ConsultWebs with Tanner Jones. For show notes, links, and info, go to consultwebs.com/podcast. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review. Watch for the next LAWsome episode to discover more breakthrough insights to build a thriving law firm.